If you follow my channel, you know my name is Tommy, and I would like to welcome you to my city. The city is Springfield, the state is Massachusetts, and as always, I got another great video for you. But before we get into that, I would like to give a shout out to the channel. The name of the channel is the Crime Street Journal. If you want to watch this video without my commentary, you definitely need to wake up. Welcome to go over to the Crime Street Journal. Like, share, subscribe to the video, join them, and watch it. But for now, if you like how I do it, we can watch it together. And this is about gangs in Massachusetts, how a gang from Rikers Island, New York, made its way all the way over to Boston, Massachusetts, and surrounding cities. I can't say it. No disrespect. The Trinitarios deadly gang takeover, the violent rise in Massachusetts. Let's get to it.
Boston, Massachusetts, a city known for the start of the American Revolution and its professional sports teams, is also home to one of the most violent street gangs in the United States, the Trinitarios. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into this Dominican-American gang, discuss their origin from the Rikers Island jail system to becoming a well-organized street gang, leaving a trail of bloodshed across the globe, with a particularly strong grip on Massachusetts. After years of investigation, federal authorities have unsealed the charges against 24 leaders, members, and associates of the Massachusetts chapter of the Trinitarios. Their crimes: drug trafficking, robberies, intimidation, fraud, and murders. But before we get into all that, hit that subscribe button. Please help me get to my goal of 10,000 subscribers. It's the Crime Street Journal. Massachusetts federal agencies, including the FBI and Homeland Security investigations, executed a massive takedown. 22 individuals now face federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy linked to murders and attempted murders in Essex County. This takedown is the culmination of years of violence, gang wars, and intimidation. Authorities say the Massachusetts Trinitarios have committed at least 10 homicides. The gang's leader, Emmanuel Paula Cabral, also known as Nelfew or Gordo, was at the helm of their criminal empire. His right-hand man, Ari Jordani Rosario, aka Racacha. Together, they oversaw drug distribution, coordinated violent attacks, and maintained control over their chapters. The Trinitarios gang traces its roots back to the 1990s inside New York City's Rikers Island jail. Initially formed by Dominican inmates for protection against rival gangs, it soon evolved into a highly structured and ruthless criminal enterprise. Named after the Dominican revolutionary group La Trinitaria, which fought for independence from Haiti in the 1800s, the gang presents itself with a patriotic image. However, their actions paint a starkly different reality, one fueled by violence, drug trafficking, and organized crime. The Trinitarios identify themselves with a unique set of symbols: the crossed machetes beneath a shield marked DPL, short for Dios, Patria, Libertad, or God, Country, Liberty. The Trinitarios use lime green as their distinctive color, setting them apart from other street organizations. The sun, moon, stars, and even emojis like the pineapple and wolf are used in coded messages between members. With a rigid hierarchy, the Trinitarios operate under strict rules known as the Magna Carta, which dictates gang protocol. Leadership positions are assigned through a beaded color system: green, first in command; blue, second in command; red, third in command; white, disciplinarian. To join the gang, recruits go through a probationary period and are often required to complete a violent mission, usually a shooting or attack. Only then are they formally initiated, swearing loyalty and secrecy in a ceremony held every year on February 27th, Dominican Independence Day. Once a prison-based gang, the Trinitarios rapidly expanded beyond jail walls, spreading across New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and beyond. Today, they have influence stretching into Latin America and even Europe. The Central Command is in the Dominican Republic. In Massachusetts, it's all under one man, the Supreme, Emmanuel Paula Cabral. Beneath the Supreme, there are flags, his right-hand men, messengers, and enforcers. Then there's the cabinet, each chapter's leadership. The number one runs the chapter, the number two backs him up, and the number three keeps things in check. The Trinitarios have mastered the art of insulation. Leaders don't speak directly to foot soldiers. They use flags, middlemen who pass orders like whispers in the dark. If someone gets caught, the true masterminds stay untouched. And what happens if someone steps out of line? Discipline. That's why there's a disciplina. He's in charge of punishing anyone who disrespects the hierarchy. A beatdown, a cut, or worse. It depends on the offense. And then there's the seguridad. He's the one holding the weapons, making sure the chapter stays safe, or makes someone disappear. In Massachusetts, the Trinitarios have established themselves in several cities: Lawrence, Lynn, Boston, and Haverhill. These urban areas.
The name of the town is Haverhill. I used to say it wrong. I actually lived in those cities. I've been to Lawrence. I've lived out there. And back then, it was all just, to me, regular Spanish people. And it was a little wild, but it was low key. But I ain't been out there in years. But I ain't going back neither if these crazy motherfuckers is running the town.
Areas have become the battleground for control, with the gang constantly clashing with rivals in an effort to dominate. It's not just a fight for territory, it's a deadly contest for power. The Trinitarios claim their streets, their neighborhoods, and their people. They mark their territory with violence and intimidation. The Trinitarios have made it clear that they won't tolerate any challenge to their authority. Rival gangs, such as the Gangster Disciples, Shotgun Crips, Tiny Rascal Gangsters, and others, are viewed as enemies to be eradicated. The turf wars between the Trinitarios and these gangs often escalate into violence. Shootings, stabbings, and even murders are all too common. But it's not just about the gangs themselves. It's about who controls the most lucrative markets: drugs, weapons, and territory. The stakes couldn't be higher. The gang targets immigrants, particularly those from the Dominican Republic, and appeals to their shared heritage. But the Trinitarios don't stop there. They turn to the next generation, recruiting young men in high schools where they prey on the vulnerable and impressionable. The youth, often referred to as menores, are drawn into the fold with promises of brotherhood and loyalty. But what they don't realize is the violent, deadly path they're being pushed toward. Some of them are tasked with simple jobs: standing lookout during a shooting, holding weapons, transporting drugs. But for many, these small roles often snowball into much larger crimes. And as we've seen in recent years, even the youngest members have been involved in horrific acts. Over the years, the Massachusetts Trinitarios have left a trail of bloodshed in their wake. More than 12 murders have been linked to their criminal operations. The killings are part of a larger, organized effort to send a message of fear. April 16th, 2017, Aracelis Valdez, an innocent bystander, was killed in an act of gang retaliation. Luis Rodriguez, a Lawrence chapter member, was later convicted. Aracelis Valdez and an unidentified man were shot around 8 p.m. outside the La Cava nightclub. The man survived, but Aracelis Valdez was pronounced dead after being airlifted to Lawrence General Hospital. May 17th, 2018, Trinitarios member Eddie Almonte was charged with the brutal killing of Nike Cologne. This was a brazen daytime shooting. At 5 p.m., Almonte drove up alongside a vehicle parked on Shepherd Street in Haverhill and fired 5 rounds, striking Nike Cologne, who was in the passenger's seat. The driver of the vehicle drove to City Hall, where firefighters rendered medical aid to the victim.
I used to live on Hancock Street in Haverhill. I had to think of it.
He was transported by ambulance to Merrimack Valley Hospital and then airlifted to Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, where he was pronounced dead. September 3rd, 2018, a member of the rival shotgun Crips, 22-year-old Jathian Amador, aka JEBK, was murdered in what authorities suspect was a coordinated attack. Jathian Amador was walking around 17 Brook Street in Lawrence when he was shot and killed. Surveillance footage showed that shots were fired from a silver SUV that drove away from the area. His murder remains unsolved. The Trinitarios don't just rely on street violence. They use intimidation, coded messages, and even music videos to project their dominance. Members flaunt their wealth, weapons, and crimes in drill rap videos, posting threats to rivals. Rapper Luis Enrique Santana, aka Young LS, is a known Trinitarios affiliate, using his platform to glorify the gang's violent lifestyle. His videos are filled with Trinitarios symbols, firearms, and violent gestures, have become a calling card for the gang, each image a reminder of their presence. March 8, 2017, Lawrence, Massachusetts. In the early morning hours, gunfire shattered the silence. What followed was a brutal execution, a crime of gang retaliation, and a murder caught on surveillance footage. Just before 1 a.m., Lawrence police received multiple frantic 911 calls, gunshots, a man down, suspects fleeing toward the cemetery. When officers arrived at the corner of Crescent and Forest Street, they found the lifeless body of 19-year-old Jaime Espinal. He lay face up on the pavement, a single sneaker missing. A gunshot wound near his left eye told a grim story. Shell casings, .380 caliber and .40 caliber, were scattered around the crime scene. Espinal had been hunted, ambushed, and executed. Surveillance cameras in the area would later reveal chilling footage of 2 suspects waiting in the shadows. One, heavyset, identified as 19-year-old Elvis Trujillo, known as Gordo or Honduras. The other, smaller in stature, 17-year-old Robert Severino, also known as Petete. Both were members of the violent street gang, the Trinitarios. According to sources, Espinal had been greenlit by the Lawrence chapter of the gang, a death sentence ordered by a leader. His crime, assaulting and humiliating a fellow Trinitario on video just 1 week earlier. For nearly an hour before the shooting, the 2 gunmen crouched in hiding, waiting for their target to appear. At 12:55 a.m., Espinal and another young man unknowingly walked into their kill zone. The surviving victim would later describe what happened in those final moments. As they turned onto Crescent Street, gunfire erupted. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness. Espinal ran, but the bullets found their mark. The footage was clear. Severino fired first, striking Espinal. The teenager stumbled but kept moving. But then Trujillo stepped forward, raised his weapon, and fired the fatal shot, a single round to Espinal's head. He collapsed instantly, his body slumping onto the pavement. The gunman hesitated only for a moment before fleeing the scene. The killers thought they had gotten away with it, but the walls were closing in. Witnesses began talking. Informants came forward. One, identified as CW3, would later reveal chilling confessions from the shooters themselves.
Hey man, always remember somebody gonna tell, somebody gonna see you. It's a camera somewhere. So don't be no suicide bomber going on a mission that you can't get accomplished.
They had bragged about the execution, boasting that Espinal never saw it coming. Trujillo, proud of his so-called kill shot, showed no remorse. The evidence was undeniable. The surveillance footage, the shell casings, the witness testimony. The streets of Lawrence had one less life, but the law was closing in on those responsible. Justice, though delayed, was inevitable. Gang violence is ruthless, unforgiving, and all too common. Juan Espinal's murder was not random. It was a calculated act of vengeance, one that played out under the cold eye of surveillance cameras. But no crime is without consequence. And in the end, the killers would face the justice they so desperately tried to outrun. November 26th, 2017, a cold evening in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Mindy Tran, a 25-year-old woman, had no idea she was walking into a trap, a setup that would cost her life. This is the tragic story of a drug deal turned deadly, an attempted robbery ordered by a gang leader, and a city shaken by violence with the murder of Mindy Tran. At 6:50 p.m., Lawrence police responded to a distressing call, an unresponsive female found in a crashed Nissan Maxima. Upon arrival, officers discovered a young Asian woman slumped over in the driver's seat. She had suffered gunshot wounds to her left shoulder and back. Paramedics rushed her to Lawrence General Hospital, but it was too late. The victim was identified as Mindy Tran. Inside her vehicle, investigators found marijuana packaged for sale, a .380 caliber cartridge casing, 2 cell phones, and over $500 in cash. One phone was her personal device. The other, a burner phone used for drug transactions. A chilling discovery followed, a text message arranging a meetup for a marijuana deal, just minutes before her murder. Surveillance cameras in the area provided crucial evidence. At 6:40 p.m., a black Honda Civic with distinctive windshield markings was seen parking nearby. Moments later, 2 figures exited the vehicle and walked toward the meeting location. One was a heavy-set man in light pants and a dark sweatshirt. The other, a smaller individual, both later identified as the shooter, Elvis Trujillo, and his unnamed co-conspirator. At 6:48 p.m., gunshots rang out. Mindy Tran's vehicle sped past the camera, out of control, before crashing into a parked car. Just seconds later, the 2 suspects ran back down the street toward the waiting Honda Civic. Within moments, the car sped away from the scene, vanishing into the night. The evidence piled up quickly. A fingerprint lifted from Tran's car matched the co-conspirator. Phone records showed calls between Tran and the suspect just minutes before the murder. And then came the confessions. Multiple cooperating witnesses stepped forward, each confirming the same story. Elvis Trujillo pulled the trigger during an attempted robbery, but he wasn't acting alone. The order had come from a mid-level leader of the Trinitarios gang, the same man who had orchestrated other violent crimes in Lawrence. Witnesses stated that Trujillo had openly admitted to the murder. A gang order to rob Tran of marijuana turned into a cold-blooded killing when she attempted to drive away. Trujillo fired the fatal shots that ended her life in an instant. Mindy Tran's death was a tragic consequence of street violence, a life taken too soon over greed and power. Her story is a reminder of the dangerous world of gang-related crime and the innocent lives caught in the crossfire. March 16th, 2019, the quiet streets of Lynn, Massachusetts, became the backdrop of a carefully orchestrated gang attack. It was a setup that would lure an unsuspecting victim into the sights of a gunman. The masterminds, members of the notorious Trinitarios gang. The target, a rival gang member who had no idea he was walking into an ambush. According to investigators, Luis Enrique Santana devised the plan. Using a fake Snapchat account, Santana posed as a woman, luring the target to a meeting outside a local venue. The rival gang member, believing he was about to meet a woman, arrived unsuspecting, but he wasn't met with romance. Instead, he was met with gunfire. As the victim sat in his parked BMW, waiting, the shooter, Diaz Lorenzo, emerged from the darkness. Shots rang out. The car's windows shattered and bullets tore through the vehicle. Inside, the victim and his associates scrambled to escape. One was hit in the abdomen, another in the groin, but miraculously, both survived. The third associate, known as Victim 5, managed to flee and later provided police with crucial details. At 12:26 a.m., Lynn police rushed to the scene. Bullet holes riddled the BMW. Shell casings littered the ground. A witness who had been nearby reported seeing a shooter dressed in all black. But it was what investigators uncovered next that would break the case wide open. A cooperating witness, identified as CW24, revealed the chilling
Jesus Christ, CW number 24. They just got a whole bunch of people telling, huh?
details. Santana had played puppet master, orchestrating the entire ambush. He had passed along the victim's location and vehicle description to Diaz Lorenzo and getaway driver Paula Cabral. The plan had been executed with precision. After the shooting, Santana and CW24 sat back and listened to the police response unfold in real time. The Trinitarios dealt heavily in drug trafficking, a multi-state operation with a pipeline stretching from the Dominican Republic to the quiet towns of New England. The Trinitarios built an empire on fentanyl, cocaine, and deadly counterfeit pills. The drugs are funneled into the U.S. through multiple means: concealed shipments arriving by mail from the Dominican Republic, couriers moving kilos by car, and connections to powerful drug cartels. Once inside the country, the Trinitarios use a structured network to distribute these substances. Through intercepted communications, investigators have uncovered how senior gang members orchestrate the movement of drugs by employing lower-ranking members as transporters and street-level dealers. Probationary members, young, eager to prove themselves, are given deadly assignments: move the product, collect the money, or face the consequences. Maine, in particular, has become a lucrative target. The Trinitarios have turned local homes into trap houses, securing safe havens by offering desperate residents a deal they can't refuse. Other criminal activity the Trinitarios have orchestrated is a series of brazen package thefts. But these aren't random heists. This operation is far more calculated. Through a network of conspirators located in the Dominican Republic, they are able to gain access to valuable tracking information on packages that contain cellular phones and other Apple products. These foreign-based operatives tap into databases, insurance claims, and shipping systems to identify which packages are the most valuable. Once the tracking information is secured, it is sold to members of the Trinitarios. Armed with this data, they lie in wait, watching for the packages to be dropped off at delivery addresses, then swooping in to steal them, often mere minutes after delivery. The stolen phones are then sold to buyers either online or through black market dealers in the Dominican Republic and New York. Even if the phones are blacklisted in the US, they can still find buyers abroad where they can be activated on different networks. These thefts, orchestrated with chilling precision, involve key players who recruit others into the gang, facilitate the thefts, and help offload the stolen merchandise. The operation is like a well-oiled machine, with roles clearly defined and actions swiftly executed. After years of relentless violence, murders, and crimes, federal agencies including the FBI, ATF, and Homeland Security investigations launched a massive takedown of the Massachusetts Trinitarios. Dozens of arrests have dismantled the gang's leadership in Massachusetts. Key figures like Emmanuel Paula Cabral and Eri Jordani Rosario are now facing federal charges, marking a significant blow to the organization. However, law enforcement officials warn that the fight is far from over. The Trinitarios are highly resilient, and while leadership may fall, new members will rise to take their place. And there you have it, an in-depth look into Massachusetts' deadliest gang, the Trinitarios. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video,
So there you have it. Those are the type of gangs we got going on in Massachusetts. So please don't come out here and thinking it's sweet in these small towns and get caught slipping. Like I always say, I present you with some facts. I give you my opinion on those facts. And if you like how I do that, click that like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell. And click all so you can get notifications every time I drop one of these videos. If you're a supporter of the channel, much love and respect goes out to you. I salute. And if you're one of these haters out here, cut this shit. That part.